Hello, I'm Jake Boudrot, Civic Journalist at Tellil Community Television. In this episode of Strait Talk, I attended a virtual presentation of the Acting Collectively project findings at the Dr. Kingston Memorial Community Health Center in Lordways. After the presentation, I spoke with Josie Robinson, Community Engagement and Public Relations Manager for the Richmond County Community Health Center. First of all, just get your name and title and what you do here at Dr. Kingston.
Yeah, so I am Manager of Community Engagement and Public Relations here at the Dr. Kingston Memorial Community Health Center, which means I am the person to kind of get the word out about our programming and make sure that people who need it most are the ones we're reaching and the ones who are getting their needs heard and raising awareness about important issues in our community.
Acting Collectively did a presentation of some of the findings that they did, so maybe you can explain what that's about.
Yes, so since 2022, we've partnered with the Seniors Take Action Coalition and Dalhousie University for an important research project called Acting Collectively. And what Acting Collectively aims to do is kind of provide direction to community organizations to better meet the needs of older adults as they age in community. So we understand that more and more adults are living longer and living longer in their homes, and they have complex needs that community organizations are going to have to meet in the future. But we just didn't have a lot of concrete data to meet those needs, and this project is aiming to help with that. So aiming to help with things like mental health, chronic pain, and chronic illness, things like that older adults are going to need help with, and we as community navigators need to help them reach those services. So now we have a way forward to provide that in the years ahead.
Yeah. So essentially, they're providing you data to help with your job and engaging with the communities.
Yeah. When we know the top issues that are on the minds of older adults in our community, right from people themselves who participated in this survey, we know what programming to provide. We know what grants to look for and what to advocate for to our provincial and municipal representatives as well. So,
was Dr. Kingston Clinic here, were you guys involved in any of the data gathering that was part of this?
So we helped older adults connect with the researchers. So we were listed as a community navigator, so people could call our clinic here and express interest, and we could find a way to help them complete the survey in a way that works best for them. So some people did it online, some people did it over the phone. Sometimes we may have even helped people with hard copy surveys. So we connected people in a way that worked best for them. Yeah.
What stands out to you about the project findings that you saw today?
I think just the fact that they were reaching people directly is so valuable, because sometimes when we see statistics, it's all so randomized and made so abstract. Like as much as we can look at reports like Statistics Canada, stuff like that, it doesn't have that like hometown connection in the way that this does. Connections to people we see in our community. We had help from folks right here in Richmond County, right here in St. Peters, who recruited folks in the area. And we can trace that right back to our own neighborhoods. We're not randomized by postal code. We can directly tie this back to our own communities. So yeah, there's a human connection.
So what's going on in Richmond County that stands out to you? I know there was some things presented from the Cape Breton Regional Municipality, Municipality of County Victoria, but what particularly in Richmond County kind of stands out?
Oh, in Richmond County, I think there's challenges and there's strengths. I think the strengths are that like we check in on each other and we have lines of communication open person to person between all the parties involved. So like community organizations, we talk to each other. Our volunteers directly talk to us, and we have direct connections to our municipal representatives as well. So I think that's a strength. But what's going to be a challenge is just the lack of resources we have. We don't have reliable transportation for people who may be living at home, but are facing barriers to driving and things like that. And when people may not be able to drive anymore, that kind of has a domino effect on the rest of their life. They might not be able to reach their appointments as easily or even run errands, get groceries as easily. And I think that in our programming, we would try and address that a lot. So like we have programs that help people with food security, programs that help people with transportation, things like that. I think that's going to be our biggest challenge in Richmond County. Yeah.
Yeah, and there was some other issues that identified, like social isolation, which in a rural area could be an acute problem.
Yeah, we are quite a geographically sparse county as well. So counties like the Cape Breton Regional Municipality are going to have a lot more population density than we do. We have, they mentioned in this presentation, 9,000 people, but think of how many communities that's spread across, right? Probably, I don't know off the top of my head, but I'd say probably 9, 10 communities that's spread across. So we have kind of more legwork to do to reach people where they're at. Yeah.
Yeah, and a lot of these issues
Mhm.
come down to it. Lack of service, access to service, another issue that was identified, and that kind of all goes into that rural theme where
Mhm.
things are spread out.
Mhm.
Access to services might be far away. There might be a lot of
Yeah.
those issues type of things that, and I'm sure you guys know all about them.
Yeah, even though we have a lot of older adults who might have unique needs, it's like we are still kind of made to figure out logistically how are we going to get to Antigonish, how are we going to get to Sydney. So I think like out of a lot of the counties on this call, we have that logistical problem to address. Yeah.
Now, there was some ideas presented, like Dementia Live. Maybe you
Mm.
can talk about a bit about that. They talked about that, and what is that program, and what kind of a fit would that be in a place like this for?
Yeah, so I think it's a really crucial program because we are going to be faced with the reality that there could be more people in our communities living with memory loss, and our communities have to become accepting and accommodating to that. We're going to have to make our public spaces more accommodating to people with memory loss. Even our social environments have to become more accommodating to people with memory loss. I think a statistic from Nova Scotia Health I looked at is we can expect an 80% increase in the number of people in our communities in Nova Scotia living with memory loss by the year 2050. So that's not that far away. And so I think Dementia Live, which is kind of it incorporates technology to simulate the experience of living with dementia. So it's kind of like a VR experience to simulate what it does to your vision, what it does to how you move in your body, things like that. So they mentioned in the call this is going to be coming to Ayrshire and Lewisdale in the fall. So I'm very excited about that. Um, in our community programming, we've been contributing to the awareness piece. So we've done sessions in River Bourgeois, Lower River, and Janvrin's Island on understanding dementia. And what we find is that it's something people are worried about, but people don't know how to talk about. So I think it could be an immersive way for people to um, yeah, to engage in this conversation if they might not know how to talk about it. We find when we talk to people in community, people are concerned about it but don't know where to start. And I think it's going to have a ripple effect on our communities as well because it's not just the person themselves, it's caregivers, it's the healthcare system at large that has to adapt to meet this population. Yeah.
Now, one thing
Hmm.
we talked about before we went on this interview is that
Hmm.
half of the people that were involved in this survey and data gathering were from Richmond County alone, which is
Yes.
quite
Yeah.
significant.
Quite significant. About half, yes. So there was 211 surveys, and 102 of them were from Richmond County, and that speaks to the strength of our volunteers and our people out there in community spreading the word, right? So even though we might not have a lot of communications infrastructure or transportation, we have people willing to do the legwork. So we're pretty proud of that. Yeah.
So you guys deal with acting collectively, or kind of a data gathering
Mhm.
information. So do you anticipate that relationship is going to continue, and that's basically what their role is going to be as far as informing you and doing your job?
Yeah, absolutely. So it's a two-way conversation. So with the data they've given us, as I mentioned before, we're using that strategically to figure out what kind of programming we need, and we're going to continue to be in conversation with them over the coming years of how we see the data play out in like real time, essentially. Yeah.
Yeah, you were mentioning something about offering media literacy programs for seniors. Maybe you can talk about that.
Yeah, so this October during Media Literacy Week, which is October 27th to 31st, I've partnered with the Civics Foundation and we're going to be hosting media literacy workshops for adults, especially older adults. Now, media literacy is one step further than digital literacy. So it's good that more and more people are getting online. But what we kind of noticed in community is they might not know what to do with what they're seeing once they're there. So how do you know whether something is real or false, whether something is made by a human being or by AI? And with what we noticed with older adults is that sometimes people might just have fear of encountering those things, and that might hold them back a bit socially from participating. And we want to help people overcome that. Because what I find with older adults is they need to give themselves a bit more credit, because that fear is actually a sign that you have a critically developed mind, right? And so I want to give people the tools to have confidence on the internet and to be able to navigate the internet in a way that keeps them safe and keeps them informed and keeps them a part of social discourse. So I'll be teaching people about how to understand algorithmic bias. So why is it that when I open Facebook and two other people next to me open Facebook, we're all seeing a different Facebook? So how does interacting with content manipulate how you see content? How is AI interacting with human beings on the internet? And as well, how to fact check. So I'll be teaching people good resources, resources that even journalists use to tell whether something is true or false, how to do lateral reading, and even how to use free tools like Wikipedia to understand what you're seeing on the internet. And I think that this helps people of all generations, because the internet is rapidly changing, and the thing that will make us best equipped to deal with that is remaining adaptable.
Thank you for watching Strait Talk. Please tune in again to find out what we will be talking about.